Moonbounce expeditions keep us on edge. When you worked almost all active stations on one band, the only way to get new DXCs are expeditions. While we sit in our comfortable shack, waiting for the first signals of the expedition, they are working their tails off in an often hot country, trying to cope with many unforeseen conditions and circumstances. We cannot thank those heroes of our hobby enough for all their efforts. Let's listen to their story with respect and in admiration.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you've all had a good meal and full up and happy and ready to listen on something about Swaziland. We had a successful trip to Zimbabwe in 2014 and decided to embark on another expedition to an African country fairly close to South Africa. And Swaziland seemed to be one of the best options, as it's about a 3 to 4 hour drive from us. We had Vincent, 3DA0 Victor, that was a permanent resident of Swaziland, and he made licensing a hell of a lot easier. He knew all the people that needed to be told and all the forms and everything. He was really pivotal to the whole expedition. And you don't always realize, as Jan said, how complicated something like this can be, and especially in Africa. Vincent did almost all the administration for us in the beginning and did an absolute sterling job. He even secured all the license, paid in advance, and got everything ready for us for the day of our arrival. He even did some building alterations at his QTH, which kind of surprised us, but he did it all. A whole extra room was built on, tiled, the works, painted out, and all ready for our arrival. Incredible, actually. Our journey, well, after many months, the journey began on Friday. We had some preparations to do in the beginning. This is a slide of the 2-meter antennas at my QTH, just some testing that needed to be done. And everything worked out well. If one didn't do that before the time, in Swaziland there is almost nothing available. On the matter of 2-meter antennas, I'll give it over to Linz and he'll give you some more technical aspects on those antennas specifically.
Thank you. Yeah, the 2-meter antennas are designed by Paolo. And when we want to go to Zimbabwe, yeah, we won't have big antennas with us because we are driving with cars, so antennas was not easy. Only issue was to get them on the plane and to have a good design, wideband, and it must fit in a golf bag. So, as I use for many years antennas from Apollo, and they are very good, I start talking with him. He's very passionate about his antennas, and he's very good with antennas. He started to think about and to design the lightweight antenna that we could use. It became a 9-element horizontal antenna and a 6-element vertical antenna. We did many simulations, and at the end he found a good design and good materials, and he said, "I'm gonna build for you antennas." So after a while he started to make the antennas for us. You see, it's a lot of work here. Waterproof boxes he made, dipoles, very lightweight aluminium, not longer than 1 m to fit in the golf bag. So antennas here ready, and then we always test this at antennas. They are very well. If the theory is exactly the same as the practice. And it was, of course, we did. Right? So we were testing that in his backyard. Yeah. Then after I think half a year or so, he said, well, antennas are ready. Right? We look at, sent some plots what he did measure about the antennas. Yeah, but then antennas must come to Holland. I have to fit them in a golf bag. And then before Zimbabwe, I had a plan. I said to the family, let us go to Italy on holiday. It's a very nice place. Venice is a very nice city. And yeah, I have a little friend there. I have to pick up some stuff. And yeah, my wife is not difficult. But she oh, that's a good plan. Found a very nice camping. And then we went to Italy. And I have planned a day with Paolo to take over the antennas. So I sent the family at the shopping center. I said, I go to Paolo to pick up the antennas. So I had a meeting point nearby Milan with Paolo to give me the antennas. But what I not expected, he gave a complete demonstration, explanation for the antenna on that place. So we are standing there in Milan on a parking place, and he says, he built an antenna for us. It took me about 3 hours. We were talking. So you see, lightweight, simple to put together. And then one antenna is ready. He said, I let you show the antenna is working. He got his measure equipment with him, and he showed it is working. So after 3 hours, I packed all together, put the antennas in the car, pick up the family, had a nice holiday in Italy, and then went home. And yes, the antennas fixed in a golf bag, and the complete group of 4x6 element and 4x9 was fitted in the golf bag with power splitters, cables, and it came not above 20 kilos. So that was a very good result. Then the antennas went to Africa, to Zimbabwe. And yeah, when the antennas are there, yeah, we need to do more expeditions from there. That's nice to do. So Swaziland was the next. Now John will go further with the rest of the presentation and have a little bit of the story of the 2-meter antennas.
Everybody that took part in the expedition was given various tasks on what they were almost experts on, and we started off with the preamp boxes. Chris and Linz took care of these, all switching preamps, everything was taken care of and boxed, and audio was all attended to. Even noise figure measurements were done as to simulate, what would happen by us out in the field. This is all at Chris's QTH. Before the time, they even did on-air tests with the moon, just to make sure that absolutely all things were covered. Bernie was in charge of 70 centimeters. He kindly made almost the entire station available. He lives almost in the middle of the country, and he has access to an open area where his remote station is, and he set up everything to simulate exactly as it would be. He tested with Dan from HP9Q, and just for the fun, Dan said to him, have you got any power? And he said, well, just normal power out of the 7100. And he said, listen, connect it up, let's give it a go. And he worked him, just for fun. Then Dan and Sammy were in charge of all the higher bands. They ended up from 23 centimeters to 3 centimeters. It included all transverters, dish antennas, the amplifiers, absolutely everything. And they did an incredible job. This is just a couple of slides of what they did. Everything was completely modular and could be fitted in and out within minutes. Feeds, boxes at the back. It was just fully tracking, savvy designed, most of the mechanics, and it was incredible. Even on-air tests were done from another QTH, just to make sure that absolutely everything was in perfect working order. They then left Switzerland with 12 boxes of gear and close to 250 kilograms of equipment. Leaving Switzerland for South Africa, Linz and Chris also packed in their stuff, which wasn't quite as much, but certainly enough. And they all arrived in, and the whole party consisted of 2 operators from the Netherlands, 3 from Switzerland, and 4 South Africans, and then of course Vincent, a resident in Swaziland. Well, the expedition can't start without a full stomach, so we all enjoyed a full rack of 1 kilogram ribs each, and everybody had a good meal, so everybody left full. We then started packing, and all the gear to fit in, all the cars, and it's sometimes a challenge to make it all fit, but we got it all in, and at 4 o'clock the following morning we left for Swaziland, heading east. This is from Andrew, who was also one of our party. We were greeted at the Swaziland border post, and for a South African, boy, it was cold. We had 12 degrees and lots of mist, and we thought, well, let's see how this developed. But going through the border wasn't really a problem. You sometimes get the customs officials, it's a bit of a challenge to try and explain what the hell you're doing, because they haven't got a cooking clue of what is going on there. And eventually they just looked at all of our pages of serial numbers of equipment, because everything had to be marked. And I think in desperation they said, just go. And we eventually got through the border. And Swaziland is a very mountainous country. It has some serious hills, and in fact, this slide you can see a lot of the forests. And Vincent's company that he works for is actually involved in the growing and paper manufacture of these trees. They have an enormous amount of land in the whole of Swaziland. We then arrived at Vincent's QTH, still freezing cold, and immediately started to plan on whose antenna would go where, which ended up quite simple really. Guys said how long the coaxes were, and we planned moonrise, moonset, and everybody kind of agreed, you go there, I go there. And we then started in earnest to get everything going. Everybody knew what they had to do. The guys got stuck in straight away and just started to assemble bits and pieces. Alex, Sammy, and Dan immediately got stuck in on the microwave side of things. We got stuck in on the 2 meters and the 70 centimeter side. Things started to get together, and slowly but surely the station took shape. Various challenges on getting everything to actually fit the way you had it at the house. Bernie then started with these 8-element 6-meter monster, which was, I mean, just huge compared to anything that we were going to use. And the station consisted of as Linz explained, the 4x9 elements horizontal and the 4x6 vertical by power. On 70 centimeters, we had 2x28s. Polarity, we just use Armstrong. Chris was seen run out at all times of the night changing polarities and trying to compensate for Faraday, but it worked. And then we had Dan and Sammy that had their complete 23 cents to 3 centimeters on a 1.5 meter dish, and they were ready to go in about 1.5 hours. The system was so accurate that we used them to get moonrise and north and everything. They just said, right, here's your north, and the rest of us just followed. And it worked to perfection. Their system was just incredible. And every single thing was taken care of. This was the first 8-meter EME expedition from 50 megahertz up to 10 gigs. And Alex, ZS6JON, Mike Echo, and Andrew and Vincent were really key members to doing anything that needed to be done, from fixing to helping to buying pizza to whatever extra needed to be done. These guys were all over the place and helping. Everybody was just ready to do whatever it took to get going. Without them, we would have had some serious issues. We would have really had some serious problems. There we are, all kind of ready, moonrise. Everybody's connected and ready to go. Just some different angles. We had some local visitors that came to see us. These donkeys kind of drifted in and out with Jewel, our mascot, Jack Russell. She was there every morning to greet us at moonrise and spent the day with us. it was really, really nice to have just some local cuisine. Bernie realized at one stage that he may have an issue with a hell of a large length of coax. The tower that you see in the slide is in fact Vincent's tower. He is busy erecting a monster EHF station, and luckily he had this 6-meter tower lying around, and he kindly put it up for us, and Bernie could then attach on there. But he then realized, hell man, the coax may be a little bit short. So he then pulled his vehicle up and spent a couple of hours sitting in the back working all the guys, and had the whole lot all positioned in the back and ready to go. And it worked flawlessly. We then allowed him inside a little later. He made a plan. And he was allowed in the kitchen. The silver on the right-hand side is, on your left-hand side is the fridge, which was well stocked. So he just kind of leant over, and I've never seen a guy eat so much chocolate out of that fridge, but he ate an enormous amount of chocolate, which was quite good. Then Dan and Sammy immediately got stuck in. You could hear the speakers started to fill up with the familiar sounds of the moon, and they had everything completely set up, and click of a button and everything worked. Chris then on 70 centimeters going strong, a couple of CW contacts and so on. We were, Linz and I were mostly in charge of the 2-meter side, and we also immediately, as soon as we started to call CQ, all the signals began. And we had a lot of fun making jokes with one another, and it was just a good atmosphere when things all work and keep working. Vincent got a crash course on EME. That's his normal confused look, and he really enjoyed it, because I think many people have somewhat an idea and they think, wow, this is really something strange. And he then got a better idea. Chris was also helping out Dan with some CW contacts on 23 centimeters. And during the expedition on the Tuesday, we were greeted by the local government officials. These guys are actually in charge of allocating the frequencies and giving us the licenses. This gentleman over here, he's the big shot. That's the guy you gotta kiss his ass to get a license. As simple as that. You gotta tell him how great he is, and he loves it. So we did all the right things, and he actually arrived at us, and he took me to one side and he said, you know what, I expected you guys to come here with like 1 or 2 radios, and you'd throw wire over a tree and you do a couple of contacts, and we thought, what the hell is this all about? But he said in his wildest dreams he never expected to see what he had actually seen, and he just said it's incredible. And we took him through into the shack, and Dan gave him a real good, totally confusing lecture on how EME works. But it was good. He had a real good understanding of what amateur radio is, because at the time there are 9 active amateurs in Swaziland, and there are no EMEs, there are no VHFs. So these guys are all just HF guys, and that's what they know. So he certainly had a better understanding of what was going on. And on the Friday, a local reporter came. She was told by one of our ladies that in fact ran the bed and breakfast we were staying at, that these guys were doing this. And this had never been done from Swaziland on this scale, never, ever. So she came, and I then explained to her exactly what to say and so on, because she said, just tell me line for line, because I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds cool, so we put it in. And the next day, in fact, it appeared in the Swazi Times, and it's great exposure for Swaziland, not having this done before. We had to do a little bit of the tourism thing, so we flew the one day off on an expedition of candles, and we ended up, the roads are a little bit hectic on the way there. There was I would say a proper tar road, but that took too long. So we decided to take a shortcut. And I was driving, and the stones are pretty sharp, so we ended up having a flat tire, but anyway, it was repaired quite quickly and the show carried on. We ended up going to the Swazi Candles, which is actually quite famous in Swaziland. They have all the locals producing this. They export it worldwide. You can buy them on site, and you could see the buses were parked outside. It's a very, very big attraction for Swaziland, and a big revenue for them, you know, to have this, and all done locally. Well, on the one day, kind of when we were almost at the end, we ended up having a barbecue, or as we call it in South Africa, braai, which was really an excellent social event to just kind of end it off and just, you know, have a good time. I mean, that's what we're at the end of the day really there for, you know, to have a good time. And by that time the logbooks were all full, and we kind of then we're happy. So all the stress was gone. This is us, the final picture before we kind of all came back. And as you can see, the QSO's rates on 6 meters 54 and on 2 meters 291, 70, 47 QSOs, 23, 66, 13, 16, 9 centimeter 29, and 6, 27 and 3 centimeters 23 QSOs. So please keep your eyes out on Make More Miles, because there is another expedition planned for Africa. So watch the news. And just maybe in a show of hands, have any of you guys seen the YouTube video on Swaziland? Well, do yourselves a favor. Chris has made a fantastic job on putting a very concise and well run or well produced idea, so that you can see exactly how we did it, and it is fantastic from front to back. So if you Google in YouTube 3DA0 Mike Bravo, it'll take you directly to a link. You'll see Dan standing there looking very sophisticated, and click on that and you can have a look at that. So do yourselves a favor and go look. If you need a QSL card from 3DA0 MB, if you guys still need that, Linz has the logbooks and cards here. So please ask him to do that. That's us. Any questions or anything that you would like to know? But that's our story. From Vincent's QTH. Yes, yeah, it is an outbuilding that he had. It's, you know, being old colonial, there was often the main house and then a servants' quarters, call it that, outside. And many of his house is really old, and he had converted this whole thing into. He even had some Russian guys who went there a while ago and had an HF contest there. So he had all. He even had, asking about electricity, they found in one of the warehouses in his company an extremely thick mains cable, electric mains cable, and he immediately claimed that. He's quite high up in the company, so he immediately said, "That's mine," and he put that in from his house to this room that he built for us, especially for us, because we said we need a little bit of, you know, we need a little bit of oomph to do something, you know, and he did that for us, no problem. It was really, we just arrived and did our thing. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, hi John. Congrats, first of all. Incredible job, I believe. I know it's a huge amount of work. I still wonder how you made it in 250 kilos, because it's what we brought to Mauritius for just 2 bands. So that's quite a lightweighting job there. Yeah. Congratulations. Just one question. What about the aircraft K3 remote head you showed on the pictures?
Yeah.
Were you remoting the radio at the tower, or what was it used for?
Well, Dan and Sammy, that was part of their station, and as far as I understand, they used it, their low-powered aircraft, and they fed it up with coaxes up to the top, and all the transverters and everything were up at the station. They had a 30-meter length of cable maximum, so we made sure that they were obviously covered as far as you know, distance from the main station. But they fed it up all on I think for 28 megs, that they had it all all running up as the IF, and everything was up at the top.
At the top.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Everything at the top. Yeah.
The 50
55 QC on 6 meter. Was it also a EME?
Yes.
What was the power?
It was all, I think Bernie ran about 700 watts, 800 watts with the Ital there.
But no analog, it was all digital?
Yes, all
also
digital.
CW?
Yeah, all digital.
No CW?
I don't,
It's
as far
very
as
hard, I
understand,
know.
they don't make any
It's-
CW.
Okay, thank you.
No, he's a very good CW operator, it's not a problem for him. He does incredible. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We're a bit ahead of schedule. Amazing. That's one. Thank you. And that's two. Okay. And Chris, of course, you're also part of the show. Yeah. You're good, you're good. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, that's different.